Howdy folks, TJ here. Cool announcement. Chris Wilkins of Crash Magazine fame has reached out to me and said, hey, we have a new Crash radio that runs 24/7. Do you want to have a spot on there? And then I started thinking, you know, my mama and dad always said I had a face for radio. No, I don't think that's true. I'm a gorgeous man. I look good on video, but needless to say, I'm excited to do this. I've never done anything like this before. I just have a YouTube channel. I'm just a bloke and dude from the United States that has fallen in love with the Speccy. And could I pull something like this off? So I quickly, after he said, hey, could you do this? And I kind of said, well, tell me a little bit more about this because I need to make sure I can commit and make time and do all that fun stuff. So I had an idea. What I would do is a spot. Right now I just said, let me make one. I'll send it over to you. And you let me know if it's okay. And if it's okay, we'll figure out from there how to do it. I think everything in this early day of the radio is kind of open to, hey, what's your idea? And kind of let's ride with it. And which is good because I never liked school. I like school, but I never liked, did I do my homework? I have nightmares still at the ripe old age of 56 that I forgot to do my homework and there's a big test the next day. What the heck am I going to do? So I don't like those type of things that, you have to have such and such by such and such date. It just puts a lot of undue stress. I like just winging it. I don't have scripts. I just do. And that's the kind of the way I am. So having a set time where I need to do something, I'm good. I'm a very punctual person. If you know anything about me for work-wise, when it says it's the meeting's at 8, I'm there at 7:56 ready to go. I'm never late. I'm very punctual. But this is a new experience. So what is it? It's crashradio.org.uk. It's a website that you can go to that will have 24/7 of wonderful crashness, speckiness. I'm guessing there's probably some deviation to that, but Crash Magazine, for you not familiar with it, probably most everybody is. I wasn't. I'm in the United States. Crash Magazine wasn't a thing for TJ back in the 1980s. Now it's a thing, and we're going to talk about in this my spot, whatever you want to call it, my little 8-bit diary. I think that's kind of what my spot's going to be. Like my videos for my YouTube channel, I just basically find something and do and video it and go from there. I think this first episode will be me talking about 2 things, maybe 3. Crash Magazine, that has been coming to me since issue number 1. And a little sales pitch, if you want to call it that. No one asked me to do this. It's just, I think it's important to have a paper magazine for our favorite, for some of us, computer. And that's the Speccy. And Crash Magazine is all about that. So it is so cool that when they introduced that we're going to have a hard copy magazine, I jumped all over it like a bee on honey, or is it a bear on honey? Well, I think both of them like honey. So I was all over it. I didn't come in the day where they had Crash Magazine back in the 1980s. I do have an issue or 2 that some friends overseas have been kind enough to send over to me. So I got to experience a little of what you did back in the day. But we're going to talk about my 12 issues here. And if you're watching, right now you may just be hearing this. If you're watching on my video that's going to come out at some later time, I keep knocking this over. See, you can't see me right now if you're listening to the radio, which could be a good thing, but I am dressed in a Sinclair t-shirt. I have a Sinclair banner that you can't see in the camera, but it's up there behind me. It says this office is all about Sinclair, and then I have 12 magazines from Crash that I've been collecting that need to go in this binder that kept falling down. That's a Crash binder that I had to have. We'll talk about that a little bit. And then behind me, there's a box that says ZXSpectrum Next. I thought it would be important for me to tell you a little bit about myself, if you're not familiar with me. So if you're listening for the first time on the radio channel, I'll tell you a little bit about me and what I'm about and what I think my spot can be on this channel. And if I'm rubbing my nose right now, it's because my allergies just kicked in again. I have not seasonal allergies, but allergies every day of the year. And my nose and eyes get watery. Sometimes people think I'm on something. I'm not on anything. I'm just riding high on, doing my best to ride high on life and be excited and happy most of the time, because there's days that are just not quite as exciting, and you're a little down, but I try to pick myself up and say, you know what? You should be happy to be around and happy to breathe another day and be happy to do things I like to do, my hobbies. I have a wife of 30 plus odd years, have animals that drive me nuts, because if I didn't have that, that means I wouldn't be here right now, right? So I try to be happy as much as possible. So let's chat about radio first. So crashradio.org.uk. It looks to be a 24/7. And let me quickly play something. I left it on my screen over here. Listen.
Welcome to Crash Radio.
And it's some Bieber music. Right? So if you're listening right now, you're not seeing me jimmy around. I've got my Sinclair shirt on. I'm jimmying around. And by the way, if you've seen pictures of me before, I normally look like Santa with a big beard and little crazy hair, balding in the middle like Friar Tuck, but plenty of hair on the side. I did just get a haircut. I call it a tune-up. Every 2 to 3 months I get a tune-up. And everything is no shaggy right now. I'm clean cut. So anyway, I'll turn this off now, and I'll turn off the screen. So that's a little, I don't know how they're going to work spots in. I'm guessing there'll be a slot, and they'll slap you in there, and you just go off and do your thing. And I don't know if it'll be on a rotation that plays a couple times a week or what. But we're here to talk about, today, Crash Magazine. So if you're not familiar, it's a Patreon. So if you go to patreon.com/Crash Magazine, you can get this wonderful, for X dollars a month. Go check the website out because it will give you the current. It's a paper magazine that is Crash Micro Edition. So it's not like a big full magazine 8x11. Well, over where you guys are, most of you guys are, it's always got that, what is it called? A11? I don't know what the heck it is, but I was always envious of the magazines from the UK. Oh, they look so wonderful. Here in the United States, we had some pretty cool magazines, but they were 8.5 by 11. Your magazines were all a little bit bigger, all in color. I was envious. So I did get some UK, European, German magazines in the day, and oh, you guys had it so good over there. We had it okay over here too on some things, but Crash Magazine was not one of the things I experienced back in the 80s. So if you go to patreon.com/Crash Magazine, it's a bi-monthly magazine, and it has all the flavor of the original Crash Magazine. New people, some old people that are part of the olden days, and now people like me, TJ, from the United States, that had no clue about Crash Magazine back in the day. But my excitement for it is second to none. Well, I don't want to brag about that. It's second to none in this household. my wife's probably all, what the heck's a Sinclair? But I love Sinclair computers. I've fallen in love with it. So we're going to talk about the Speccy next also, and how that kind of introduced me. But I have 12, and so if you're watching the video now, right now, if you're on the radio, here's some gnip-gnopping. I've got this amount of magazines, which is 12 now. There's 13 total. One's, I guess, in the mail, and eventually gets here. And there's a binder that I just opened up, and there's 12 little strings in there that tell me they're high tension. Can you hear that? High tension, and you can run your magazines in through this, and it's a beautiful blue binder. I guess I need to buy another copy because I have 12 magazines now, and this holds, I think, 12. So I need to buy another one, start saving my money for that. And I love everything about the magazine. It is paper. Now let's talk about that for a little bit. This is my spot, so I'm going to deviate a little bit. So some of these young whippersnappers, everything's about feeding barcodes. I'm a techie person, so I fully understand the barcode. You scan a QR code, it brings up info. But But I experienced for the first time in the summer of 2022, I went to a restaurant with some coworkers. I was on a business trip. And they didn't have menus. No paper menus. Well, none that they brought out. There's a little thing by the salt and sugar shaker and ketchup and mustard with a QR code. And I'm like, what the hell do I do with this thing? You gotta scan your menu on your phone. Now, some of the younger folks that I work with are in their late 20s, early 30s. And they're looking at me like I'm a crazy old man. I am, compared to them, I guess I am. But no, I'm a techie person, formerly to what I do today, which is I work for a fly fishing company. So I went from tech world from the 1980s all the way up until around 2012 to fly fishing. Complete opposite. Outdoor, right? So I know tech, and I was a tech support person for Apple, believe it or not, for a while. Tech supporting their Apple iMacs. And so I actually got to go to Apple in Sacramento and work from there. Prior to that, I've been always in the customer service IT technical support world with technical stuff since the 1980s. So I'm not stupid, but there's a certain point where I go, when I go on a date with my lady of 30 some odd years, I've been together with her 35, 36 years, married for 32, I try to leave the phone at home. If I got a little louder right there, probably on the multimeter, just hit red, right? Tone it down, TJ, but no, I am loud. I go on a date. I do not need a phone at my table to take time away from me being with my wife. I should be able to put those things aside. So having a menu that is only Googleable on a stupid phone to get your menu didn't piss me off, but they were amazed that I didn't know that. Coworkers thinking, oh, you don't know about this? So you gotta scan a QR code to see a damn menu. No. There's certain things that I am old-fashioned about, and I refuse to go forward, so I asked for a menu and got a menu. But yeah, they probably think my coworkers think I'm an old fart because you didn't know there's QR codes. To talk about another little deviation, I started talking about Blu-rays. Blu-rays to me are still high tech. I come from the world of old VHS and Betamax from the olden days. But my wife still collects Blu-rays and DVDs. And I asked them the other day when we started talking about the QR code stuff again for menus. I said, so you guys don't buy Blu-rays? And they looked at me like, what's Blu-ray? I want to say the F word right now so bad. But anyway, why did I just talk about all that? Because I love paper magazines. Yeah, you don't need to cut down trees endlessly for stuff, but there's still recycled paper. I do my part. My wife and I recycle tin, aluminum foil, any type of plastic. We go every number of months to the dumps and properly take cardboard and all that stuff. So we recycle. So there's still paper out there for paper magazines. Nothing's better than going on a camping trip, not around electricity, because I don't go on big vacations to Hawaii. I go on vacation camping in a tent sometimes, in an RV, small camper, Volkswagen camper type thing, and we get off the grid and go fishing and eating and reading magazines, not on some electronic doohickey, but on a paper magazine you just take with you and read a good book while you're on vacation. So, Crash Magazine, if you want to step back a little bit in time, screw the QR codes for your damn menus. Go back and have some paper. Read a magazine. In my opinion, nothing's better. There is a good yin and yang. Old time, new time, mix in the middle. You don't have to have everything modern. You don't have to have everything old. There is a place in the middle. And so I love that magazines are still a thing. And I love Crash Magazine. So if you're not familiar with it, go to the Patreon. Support the group anyway. They're working hard to put out a magazine all about one of our favorite computers, the Sinclair. Whether it's QL or Next or any of them, the magazine kind of covers a little of everything. And it's Crash Magazine. I wish I had partaked in the day. And if you're watching the video right now, you can see that I'm excited about it. Love the magazine, and thank you for making it, Chris Wilkins and the rest of the team that does it. So that's it on Crash Magazine. I've got 12 issues I need to put in my binder. I need to now buy another binder. Go to the Patreon /Crash Magazine and make sure to get on there and sub and enjoy a good paper magazine and help support the group. What's next? Well, let's tell a little bit about me. Other than that, I don't like paperless menus. Spectrum next. So if you're... What I'm going to do, just so you know, so I had kind of went back to Chris saying, okay, I have an idea. How about I do a verbal radio? Like I said, I've got the face for radio. But a week later, or whatever the time is, show the video, because I'm just making a video right now, but it's cutting out the audio and it's going to be on the radio station. But we're going to also have a video form that you can come visit. So my YouTube channel, if you're not familiar, is youtube.com/Mac Society. MACSOCIETY, just like it sounds. I run Sinclair Society, which is just a Facebook group, now over 1,600 members. And so I love the word society. This society, that society. So obviously I have Sinclair Society. That's how I started my whole shtick. My shtick is that I fall in love with Sinclair. I wanted a vestibule, a little home that I could put on the internet to talk about my adventure. Because I'm getting forgetful in older age. And as you start forgetting stuff, I like to go back and review some of the things I did before, whether it's on a YouTube video or a Facebook group, that other people can enjoy at the same time, and me being able to go back and say, TJ, what did I do back then? Well, I have a place to go back. It's like a diary. In fact, I just started a new group called 8-Bit Diary on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, go to 8-Bit Diary and join the group too. I wanted to open it up to just more than Sinclair. Sinclair Society is all about the Speccy and QL and everything, Clive Sinclair, everything to do about that flavor and time. But I also love a lot of 8-bits. If you're watching the video right now, you'll see behind me I've got an Atari 520 ST. I was an Atarian. That's what I learned back in the day. That was my first computer, an Atari 800. And then I went to an Atari ST, ST2, a Mega 2 ST. So I loved the Atari back then. But in the 1990s, pre-retro, when did retro become a thing? How many years do you have to wait before what you like is now considered vintage or retro? I started doing this in the 1990s because my Atari went out of business. The Amigas went out of business. So many wonderful computers went out of business because time does move on. And if they didn't keep up with it like Apple did, Apple was a computer company in the 70s. They're still here today. So they did something. Whether it's, I don't want to say what they've done, but they stayed in business and people continued to follow. Where unfortunately, people continued to follow Atari and Amiga and Sinclair, which technically, went out of business in the mid-'80s and then Amstrad took them over. But yeah, they were long gone. They didn't, but the hobbyist behind it, the lover of it, has never left. And there's such a vibrant community around Sinclair that I was blown away. So in this, and I'm holding it up next to my face for those watching on the radio, or listening on the radio, I'm holding a ZXSpectrum Next box. This is the part about me. So I learned, or I fell in love with the Spectrum because of the Spectrum Next. Was it 2017, 18? I'm losing track of time. But a Kickstarter came out for the Speccy Next. I watched some of the videos. The videos showed people like Jim Bagley, Henrique, and I have a hard time pronouncing names. Olifers. It's like me saying Mike Cadwallader. I said it so good the other day. Mike Cadwallader. I think that's it. But yeah, I have a hard time saying some last names. But anyway, people like them. And then the Oliver twins. They had some of the videos that were part of the Kickstarter. And I was watching them and on this Kickstarter and I go, what a kick-ass group of people. I need to follow this a little bit more. So I continued following the Kickstarter. Started exploring Speccy Facebook groups, forums. Started saying, you know what? This group is really cool. I need to learn more about it. Well, unfortunately, the Speccy Next Kickstarter came and went, so I could not be part of that first one. But then I fell in love with it and go, oh, why didn't I buy one, you dumb fool? So I started getting into the Facebook groups. I started working on my YouTube channel more. Up till then, I've been on YouTube since 2007. Long time. But I only made a couple of videos like, hey, Mom, how you doing? And I'm waving my hand right now for those folks on radio. You'll see it on my video that will come out at some later time. So I made just a few videos, but around 2017, 18, and I started saying, you know what? I'm falling in love with these Speccies and Sinclairs. I'm getting a reinvigorated power and excitement for my Ataris and televisions and all that fun stuff. So I decided, in my Odyssey too, that's my favorite old console, gaming console, because that was the first one I had. And so I started saying, you know what? Start showing some of it on YouTube so you can remember, because, you know, when you get older, you start getting forgetful. And sometimes I'm kind of I don't mind crying. I wear my, what do they call it? Your shins on your shoulders. What do they call that? No chip on my shoulder. I'm not afraid to cry, show emotion. And so I just, you know, when I fall in love with something, I don't mind in a video showing that emotion. So I just started saying, you want to feel that forever. So in 10 years from now, I want to go back and watch this video and go, you know what? You were so excited about the Speccy. And sometimes you need a little kick in the rump to remind yourself how good you had it, how good you could still have it by just getting rid of the negative, putting in the positive in its place, and going for it and enjoying it again. So it helps me keep on track, right? So I started making YouTube videos. Before I knew it, I have like almost 1,000 videos now. All for my excitement on the Spectrum and the Atari. I would say majority of it is Sinclair related, because there's been a number of years that it's been all about the passion of, I want to buy a Next. I missed out on the Next. They say there's going to be a Kickstarter too, but it's not out yet at the time. So I started following it, and then I was so excited about it. Some nice gentleman said, hey, you know, I purchased one. It's not out yet. It's not shipping yet, but I'll sell you my pledge, basically. So I went ahead and purchased this person's pledge and ended up getting a Spectrum Next, not from just the board allotment. Technically, I guess that's the first time they sold them. The second time they sold them was the Kickstarter, where they had the complete keyboard and everything wrapped around it like it was a complete, you step back to the 1980s and here is the next rendition of the Spectrum. So I ended up getting a Kickstarter 1 version of the Speccy Next. I made my first game, Invasion of the Cloud People, for the Next on there, or I should say second game, because I need to backtrack a little bit. I started collecting all sorts of Next along the way. In the United States, Timex is the brand that was a Sinclair, Timex Sinclair. So my first couple of computers, I got the Timex Sinclair TS2068, which was a color, kind of almost a Speccy, and you slap in another card and it became more of a full Speccy, because there was a few tweaks and differences. I also purchased the Omni laptop, and I made my first game on the Omni laptop. I wanted to key in on a Dead Flesh keyboard. I made Invasion of the Cloud People, a Speccy 48K game on that. And then I wanted to learn about the Speccy until my Next came. And like I said, I was lucky enough, this person was nice enough to sell me his pledge. I received it. I've been making so many videos and stuff. I guess I have a little bit of a name for myself in the Sinclair world now, because there's this United States bloke that has fallen in love with Speccy, which is kind of odd. There's some other people in the United States that love Speccy, but how many own a Sam Coupe? Crickets. You hear the crickets? I know of two other people that own a Sam Coupe in the United States. Me, one other person. Is there a third one? There's a third one that says he does, but he never showed proof of it, so I don't believe him. So I think just two people, me and this other guy. Maybe there's a third. There's probably some other cave dwellers that have them. But yet, kind of an odd man. There's plenty of probably Speccy people, Sinclair people in the United States, but none that basically come out as much as I do, saying, I love this thing. I love this black sexy box. And I fall in love with the Next. And that Next spiraled me into now owning most of the Sinclairs. believe it or not, I don't own an original Speccy 16 and 48 in the rubber key version. I have a Plus instead, and I've got a Plus 2, and I've got a Plus 3. I, of course, have the Omni, which is the laptop version, which is the closest in terms of the look and feel of the original. So one day I need to buy myself a Speccy 16 and 48 key version just to say I have it. But I've got a QL. But there's a few other things I need to still collect. Plenty of things, actually. And I'm not going to get started in collecting the games because there's like 20 billion games for the Speccy. There's not a man on earth, a woman on earth that I think has collected every single game. I just don't think it's technically possible. If you are that person, post down below in this video, or if you're watching it, I want to know your name so we can go to your house and have a big party. So anyway, so that's number 2. A little story about myself. I'm some weird United States bloke that has fallen in love with Sinclair, now making a radio spot in a video spot that I'll show later. And hopefully you've come here and enjoyed it. I don't know if my camera has just been able to record everything because I've yapped for so long. The battery's getting low. But anyway, hopefully you enjoyed it and enjoy this video to come. I think we'll stop it there. So thank you, Chris Wilkins, for allowing me to come on and do a little radio spot. Hopefully you like this. If not, I guess no one will ever see this. I may still put out the video if he said, no, you're terrible. Even your face is not good looking on the radio. I'll end it there. And then we'll not do a radio spot again, and I'll just continue doing my videos. But hopefully, people enjoyed this radio spot. I think I have a lot of fun things I could do for radio spots down the road. I could pick out a subject. I can take on videos saying, hey, name some subjects below, and I'll try to do them on a future radio cast. I can sing, I can dance. You won't see it, but you'll hear it, because I'm like a bull in a china shop. But yeah, there's lots of things I could talk about, because I come out with videos multiple times a week, and I have subjects about the Sinclair of things I want to do, have done, forgot I've done. So yeah, I think this could be fun. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed my first little radio cast. We'll end it at that. Thanks for listening. And if you watch this video, thanks for watching. Now, is this face only good for radio? You tell me down below. No, don't tell me down below, because at least my mama thinks I'm good looking. My wife, probably not so much. She just married me because, well, I don't have money either, so I don't know. See you guys and gals.